Good morning. As we start the Chitas of the day, today is the first day of the week of Parshas Vayetze. We are holding in Genesis chapter 28, verse number 10. We ended off last week's Parsha as Isaac sends off his son Jacob, to his brother-in-law's home, Laban. And Jacob, as Rashi, the last Rashi in yesterday's portion, Rashi says he's at 63 years old. 63 years old, and but he doesn't go straight to Haran. He first stops off 14 years in Shem ve'ever. So he leaves at 63. So he's now in this week's portion at 77 years old. 63 plus 14. So he's 77 years old. And this starts now his 22-year journey, going to his uncle, marrying 4 wives, and ultimately coming back with the 12 tribes. And that happens the next 22 years. And this starts that journey. And Yaakov went out of Beersheva and he went to Haran. So Rashi is because due to the fact that the daughters of Canaan were displeasing in the eye of his father Isaac, Esau went to Yishmael. Scripture interrupts the account of dealing with Jacob, and it's written when Esau saw Isaac likes Jacob, as soon as it finishes the story of Esau, what he did, it goes back to Jacob. Vayetze Beersheva, he doesn't have to say that, and Yaakov went to Haran. Why did it mention his departure? But it tells us the departure of a righteous man from a place makes an impression. But while the righteous man in the city, he's the beauty of the city. He's the splendor of the city. He's the majesty of the city. When he departs, the beauty departs, splendor departs, majesty departs. And likewise, and she went forth from the place and stayed, it's as mentioned by Naomi and Ruth, that when they left, the beauty of the city left with them. He went out to go to Haran. But as I mentioned just now, the Rashi says already, last week's portion, that it was 14 years later. He stopped first in the Aver, in the study horse of Shem and Aver, and he studied there for 14 years. And he arrived at this place and he lodged there. Because the sun has come. He took from the stones of the place, he put it around his head, on his neck. And he slept in that place. Rashi says he arrived at the place. What place? The Torah doesn't tell which place. But it's the place that is mentioned in 2 weeks ago in the portion of Harameria. It's the story of Abraham, Isaac, the place, Al-Makim, to the place. So he chanced upon Harameria, the Temple Mount. By Yifka, what means he arrived? So our sages tell us that this is the concept of prayer. That Yaakov Avinu established the prayer of the evening prayer. And why didn't the verse say that he prayed? Because a verse wants to teach us both things, that he chanced upon it and that he prayed, and also that the place jumped upon him, meaning he came to the place in a very miraculous way. Because the sun came. That doesn't make sense. Rashi says, and the sun came. What means the sun came? That suddenly it got dark. He was passing by the Temple Mount, and God wanted him to go to sleep. So God, in that day, made the day shorter. Rashi arranged it in the form of a drain pipe around his head. Why? Because he feared wild beasts. Today, the stones started to quarrel one with the other. One said, let the righteous man lay his head on me. The other was only the righteous man lay on me. Immediately, the Holy One, blessed, he made them into one stone. So these 12 stones became a one stone. And this is why it states, and he took the stone and he placed it that he had placed at his head. So these 12 stones become one stone. Yishka b'makom hahu, and he slept in that place. What does that mean, in that place? So Rashi says that here the Torah wants to tell us that he did not sleep for the 14 years that he learned in the yeshiva. For the 14 years that he learned in the yeshiva of Eber, he did not sleep. Sat and learned for 14 years straight. Maybe he fell asleep at his desk, but he did not go to sleep. Yachlem, he had a dream. He had a dream, and behold, a ladder was placed on the earth. And the head of the ladder reached the heavens. Behold, the angels of God were going up and down. Rashi says, first it went up and then they went down. Why? First it should have come down and then it should have gone up. But the angels of Israel went up because they don't leave Eretz Yisrael. So the angels of Israel went up, and the angels of the land of Chutz La'aretz, outside of Israel, came down to greet him. Behold, the angel is upon him. Hashem, and he said to him in a dream, I am God. The God of your father Abraham. Yitzchak, and the God of Isaac. The land that you are laying upon it. I'm giving it to you and to your children. That's a nitzav alav. What means that God is above me to protect me? Yitzchak. Rashi says, even though we don't find that God's name is upon a person that's still alive, you always make sure that he doesn't say his name, because, as it says in Job, he doesn't believe in even the holy ones. He doesn't trust anybody, God, so to say. Everybody can always sin. Nevertheless, here God associates his name with Isaac, because he was dim, his eyes are dim, he became blind and was stuck in bed. So, and he was confined in his house and he was stuck in his bed. So what could he have seized? What could he have sinned? He was stuck basically in his bed. Shachalov, the land that you are lying upon. So Rashi says, so to say, the Gemara says, the Holy One, blessed, he folded the entire land of Israel underneath him, so to say. And he said, this whole land I've given to you. Verse 14, and your seed will be like the dust of the earth. And you'll gain strength through westward to eastward to northward and to southward. This is the Chabad song. That's the and through you shall be blessed all the families of the earth, and through your seed. So that's the faratzta. What means faratzta? Uparatzta, and you'll gain strength, or you shall break forth. Chazakta, you take strength. Verse 15, I'm going to be with you. I'm going to watch you, protect you. Wherever you go. And I'm going to return you. You're going out of Israel now. I'm going to return you to this land. I will never let you go. Until I have done what I have spoken about you. So Rashi himself and the son Yaakov always had this cloud, two clouds over him now. Esav and Lavan, he knew both of them were wicked, and both of them had no desire in his success. Both of them wanted to destroy him, and he was afraid, self-understood. When I spoken to you, so Rashi says, I spoken about you. So when somebody speaks something about you, it's to you. So what does it mean? What I promised Abraham concerning his seed, I promised in reference to you, not in reference to Esau. As I said to him, for Isaac will be called in your seed. Not the whole Isaac, but part of Isaac, and I meant you. And so too, Rashi is whenever it says li, loy, v'lach, v'lahem, all these kind of expressions in conjunction with a form of a verb speaking, dibur, they are used in a sense of concerning. It doesn't mean that you spoke to him. It can also mean concerning you. I spoke about concerning you. So it doesn't always mean when it says I spoke to you means you in the verse. It's a general rule, Rashi says. It could be I spoke about you. Vayikat, verse 16, Vayika Yasim Shnos, and Yaakov awoke from his sleep. He said, wow, the Lord is in this place. And I did not know. I went to sleep. Rashi says, if I would know, I wouldn't sleep. But then he got frightened. He said, how awesome is this place? He realized this is the Temple Mount. This is not the regular place. This is the house of God. The house of God's going to be on this mountain. And this is the gateway to heaven. That's the way it is. All our prayers, we pray towards Yerushalayim. We pray towards the Temple Mount because that's the Shara Shamayim. That is the gateway to heaven. So Rashi Rabbi Eliezer, in the name of Rabbi Yeshua, of Rabbi Yesi ben Zimra said, the Sulah and the ladder stood in Beersheba. The middle inclined and reached to opposite the temple. For Beersheba is situated in the south of Judah, and Jerusalem is situated in the north, on the boundary between Judah and Benjamin. And Bethel was the north territory of Benjamin, on the boundary between Benjamin and Joseph. Consequently, a ladder whose foot is Beersheba and whose top reaches Bethel, the middle is Yerushalayim. This, according to what our sages said, the Holy One, blessed be, said, the righteous man has come to my lodging, the Temple Mount. Shall I leave with him without? I'm not going to let him. I need him to come and visit. And furthermore, they said Jacob called Jerusalem Bethel, but this place which he called Bethel was Luz and not Jerusalem. For where did they learn to say this? That Luz was Jerusalem. I believe the Mount Moriah was uprooted from its place and it came to Luz. The Luz at the time was to Luz, meaning at the time Luz and Jerusalem and Bethel were all the same place. So God made a miracle, as it says that I said before. He folded the whole Israel and put it underneath him. So every place was all in the same place. And this is the springing of the earth mentioned in the Gemara in Chulin, that the Eibishter made the earth smaller. And he met in that place. Now, if you ask, when Jacob passed the temple, why did not detain him there? The answer is he didn't want to put his mind to pray in a place where his forefathers had prayed. Should they detain him from heaven? He went as far as Haran, actually. He went all the way to Haran. And then he realized, oy vey, I passed Yerushalayim, I didn't pray. And he went back. So that's what happened. He went, he said, I passed a place where my father prayed, my grandfather prayed, and I didn't, I just passed it? What, are you kidding me? So that's what happened. He went as far as Haran, stated in the chapter, Giranasha. In the text, he went to Haran, supports it. When he arrived in Haran, he said, is it possible I passed the place my forefathers prayed? I did not pray there. He decided to return. And he went back as far as Bethel, which was north of Jerusalem. And the earth sprang towards him. This Bethel did not mention is not the one near Ai, but the one near Jerusalem. And because of the city of God, he called it Bethel, the house of God, and the Mount Moriah where Abraham prayed. And that's where the field Isaac prayed. So he came back to Bethel, and the Eibishter either brought Jerusalem to Bethel or Bethel to Jerusalem. Either way you want to say it happened, but that's what happened. And he said, Manoida, how awesome. How awesome is this place? That's the higher level of fear in Chassidus, the Chilu, the concept of awesomeness, awe of God. So that's what he said. He started off by Yira, he's afraid, and then he said how awesome this place is. This is the gateway of heaven. a place of prayer, where their prayers ascend to heaven. And its midrashic interpretation is that the heavenly temple is directly, exactly towards the earthly temple. This is the Beis Hamikdash Shalamayla is exactly towards the Beis Hamikdash Shalamata, and therefore that's why the prayers go straight from Yerushalayim to heaven, because the heavenly temple is mamish in the same direction opposite the lower temple. And that's why it's brought down. Mashiach comes, the Eibush is going to lower the heavenly temple that's there right now. Vayashkim Babeke, he woke up in the morning, Vayikach HaZev, and he took the stone, the one stone that Rashi mentioned before. He took the one stone that was around his neck. Vayasim Etzevi made a monument, Vayitzak Shem Elisha, and he poured oil over the head of the rock. Vayikach Shem HaMokim Hu Beis El, and he called that place Beis El. Again, it was not the Beis El that is mentioned in the Torah. He called this place Beis El. It was Luz. It was called. It was really the city of Luz, but he called it Beis El. And Yaakov made a vow, and he said, "If God will be with me, and protect me from this way, which I'm going, and give me food to eat, and garments to wear." Rashi says, if he keeps these promises, which he promised me, as he said, I'm going to be with you, Vishmarani, and he's going to protect me, and it will give me food, as he said, I will not forsake you. For if I must seek bread, he's called forsaken. So if God needs to give me my sustenance, as we say, the lady Tzaddik Nezav was out of Vakash Lachem, as the famous statement says, I've never seen a righteous man forsaken and a seed seeking bread. Verse 21, V'shavti v'shalom beis avi, and return me to my father's house. Peacefully, in peace. V'hoya Hashem li lekim, God will be for me alone. V'shavti l'ashes, and will restore my land. V'shalom means perfect from sin. I will not learn from the ways of loving. Then you'll see God upon me. It means I know I'm going into a very terrible place. I'm begging God to protect me from the evil inclination. So we wake up in the morning, we actually say this blessing, that God should protect me from the evil person, from the evil Yetzer Hara, from troubles. Why? Because I want to make the day coming out clean. And then you'll see God's name upon me. But the problem is, if God's not going to help me, I'm going to fall into evil inclination. I'll come dirty. And you're not going to see God upon me. So here, Yaakov begs God to help him overcome his evil inclination and overcome the evil inclination that's going after him, Lavan, etc. And ultimately, I will not see Rashi as a psula b'zad. I won't see any negative in my children. So the Eibushin, I'm begging God to protect me and protect my children. We shouldn't fall in to evil ways. The heaven azais in this stone, Ashasamti Matzeva, which I've made a place, a monument. Yeah, Beisalakim, this shall be the house of God. Prophesied, this is going to be the house of the Eibush, the Mitzshem, the Beis Hamikdash is going to be built on this place. It was built the first temple, second temple. Whatever God gives me, I will give Meiser. I will tithe to the Beis Hamikdash. So, okay, that's the Rashi. That's the Chumash of the day. We're now going to go to the Tanya of the day. Again, we continue in Kuntas Achren, holding the fourth essay, Kabbalistic teachings of the Alter Rebbe, trying to connect and trying to answer the questions of the Zohar in the contradictions of Zohar. In one place it's written in the Zohar, 240 part of the commandments are rooted in the 5 attributes of kindness. What's the 5 attributes of kindness? Is Zah Datzilus. Zah is the 6 Chesed, Gevurah, Tiferet. For the very positive command serves as a vessel to receive an expression of the kindly attributes and a calling forth of divinity. So when we do a mitzvah, we bring down the chesed from the world of Atzilus, the 5 attributes of chesed in the world of Atzilus. What are the 365 negative commandments? Are the 5 severities, just like you have chesed of Gura, you have chesed. So that's when you put chesed in each of the spheres, because everyone is mixed with the other. That's when you see in the counting of the Omer. The first week we say chesed sheba chesed. Second day is chesed sheba Gevura. Third day is chesed sheba Tferes. Fourth day is chesed sheba, etc., etc. So it's all chesed that has within it the others. And so too, the second week starts the other way. The first day is Gevura Sheba Gevura, the severity that's in severity. Gevura Sheba Chesed, Gevura. And then you go, how Gevura. So you have 5 levels, 5 attributes of Chesed in Atzilus. And you have 5 attributes of Gevura. And else it's written that the 613 paths, the 613 mitzvahs that derive from one path. Which is the lavnunius, the benevolent, pristine whiteness of the supernal kesed. So this level includes no element of severity at all. And the Zohar states that there's no left in Atik, meaning there's no element of Gevura in the internal level of Keser, there's only Chesed. So in Keser, in the level of Keser, which is higher than the Sfirot, over there, in the crown, there's only Chesed. So that's a contradiction. We just seem to compound contradiction. We just stated the 248 positive commandments stem from the vessel of 10 Sfirot of Zah. The Zohar states 248 commandments stem from the 5 chasadim, attributes of kindness. And Zah, 365 of Zah. And the 365 prohibited commandments stem from the 5 gevures of Zah. So it states elsewhere, the commandments right from the lavninit, the whiteness of the supernal kesed, where attributes of severity did not exist at all. So how do you put the 2 statements of the Zohar together? So the Alter Rebbe says, he tries to answer this question, all mitzvahs are designated to rectify the 248 organs of Zah by drawing the infinite Ein Sof light into the divine intellect, as incorporated within the 5 attributes of kindness and the 5 attributes of severity. Immortal man too, by the way of an analogy, one's intellectual decisions are commonly swayed by a natural leaning to kindness or severity. So since the purpose of mitzvahs is to repair the 248 organs of Zah, Zah is Zeir Ampin, which again is the 6 midos in every world. It is true to say that mitzvahs are rooted in the vessels of the spheres of Zah, because they're trying to fix that. Since the repair is accomplished through drawing the infinite light into the divine intellect that is housed in the 5 attributes of kindness and the 5 attributes of severity, it is also sometimes said that mitzvahs themselves are rooted in the 5 attributes of kindness and the 5 attributes of severity. But where does that come from? Where does it all come from? And the source of the intellect, where is the source of Chachma, is in Keser. So ultimately, everything is interconnected. The purpose of the mitzvah is to pick the vessel. The way you fix the vessel is by bringing into it the divine chesed or the divine gevura of Atzilus. The way the divine gevura comes into Atzilus is through Chachma of Atzilus, through the wisdom of Atzilus. And what pushes Chachma, the wisdom of Atzilus, to come into the 5 attributes of Chesed, or the 5 attributes of Gevura, is something that's higher than both of them, and that is Kesed. That is the Meichenu Lavnun, is the Lavnunius is Kesed, the white part. And that's chesed. That's the oinig. That's the supreme delight. That's what we say. We learned already. That chesed is delight. That's the delight that God gets. So since God gets a delight, that's why his chachma. That's why chachma wants to come into chesed. That's why chesed comes into the vessel. All because the Eibishter receives a delight from it. Delight. The Eibishter has a delight when the light comes down to the 248 organs of Zah. For the relative to Kesed, Zah is deemed below. Then they ultimately come down to 600 individual streams, come down to 613 mitzvahs, physical mitzvahs, with respective levels of mitzvahs. Going with tzedakah, like giving charity, gimel chasadim, acts of kindness. Nimshach, and what happens when I do charity, a physical act, I take a penny, put it into pushka. Nimshach, it goes all the way up to the tainug. It goes all the way back to Kesed. That's the expression. The angels going up and the angels coming down. We go up and we reveal a light, an infinite light of tainug of God. Our one little action brings about a tainug in the Kesed Elyon, in Atik, so to say, in the world higher, in the concept higher than the world of emanation. And that tainug brings about a fusion of light back down. Saying it's Akilah the Chesed is there happen to vessel the actual kindness in Zah. And so too doing mitzvahs, in order to severity, to infinite light to be drawn out, so to the not doing something, we bring down a great light in the concept of Gevura. The passage, the path and passage of issuing this light that is drawn down to external vessels of Zah is through an internal aspect of the vessel and their intellect. All comes about because of the pneumius, the essence of the emotion, and which comes from the intellect, which comes from time. Where in a term of Jewish service, it's the awe and love of their intellectual generated or innate, where the former is an expression of intellect and the latter is an expression of spiritual emotion. Which is attributed to the term of supernal spheres of major or minor divine intellect. And now you understand, Alter Rebbe says, why Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to come into Eretz Yisrael. Because he wanted to do the simple mitzvahs of Eretz Yisrael. He wanted to do the simple mitzvahs of Maisis and Trumas and all the things that are connected specifically to Eretz Yisrael, which he couldn't do. He could do it spiritually, but couldn't do it physically. And as long as he couldn't do it physically, he couldn't connect to the Tainug. Couldn't go up, he couldn't receive this infusion, this light. And Tachas Shtal, so it's a practical mitzvah, the ultimate purpose of the whole concept of the Seder Shtalshus. Which is to call forth the into light of God, to refine the vessels of Zah in Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, in which are located 288 sparks of God. Through the actual action of learning Torah and doing a mitzvah, which requires action, the world of Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, which only accomplishes through the action of a Jew here in this world. And that completes the Tanya of the day. Today is the third day of the month. My friends, today is the third day of the month, which starts on chapter, in Tillim, it starts on chapter 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and that's it. 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. And you do the chitas of the day. I wish you all a great, beautiful, happy, wonderful day at 10 o'clock. You can come either to Chabad or on Zoom or on Facebook, and you can learn together. We're going to continue the gateway of Bitachon. Connected.
Yay!
To Chabad.
Thank you, Rabbi.